His Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. We've been talking on the subject of walking away, and I gave some examples of how complicated, things can get. I've just come out of the gym. Excuse me. When you're in a situation where you need to decide, should I stay or should I walk away? Now, it's very similar to a crossing. You either stay on this side of it and continue with what's going down there, or you walk across to this side of it and walk away from what's behind you. Now, I don't encourage that anybody walk away for illegitimate reasons. If somebody's investing their life into you and you into them for all the right reasons, then it's not fair to walk away. I'm not talking about that. Hey sir, have a good day. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about situations where it's gotten to the point where serious decisions have to be made. Now, for some people just bounce from one person to the other and then one day decide, oh, don't worry about the body count, I'll just find someone and settle down. But men are a bit tired of all this now. Men are wake up to this. And the reason for that is there's too much damage being done to men by loose women, or women that don't have the character they should have at an early stage in life. You'll find now that a lot of the trouble is with single mothers. They're not single for a start. There's no such thing as a single mother. Mothers have children for company. You might say, well, it doesn't mean that. Well, it does when they're emotionally attaching to their children. That means that they, to some point, don't need a man, because they're meeting elements of those feminine needs through their children. And that might be young children right up to 40, 50-year-old children. Some of these bonds, these enmeshments, go right on through life. And it all looks like mother or father, son, daughter relationships, but you get close enough and you'll soon find out there's something just not right. And it's domestically culturalized. It's culturalized within the house through lack of intimacy between the parents, conflicts between the parents that aren't being resolved, little ones and big ones. And the parents turn to the children for support, which is not what you're supposed to do. Go and see a therapist and get it fucking sorted out. Instead of, it's an invasion and abuse on the child, but the child will respond to it because they follow the adults 9 times out of 10. And sometimes it suits the child, because what happens is the child can often become frigid, doesn't has the inclination but not the courage to find a partner, and therefore depends on the parent for their emotional fucking intimate supply. And so then you end up with this enmeshment where they get to an age, and some people never characteristically develop themselves to a place where they sexually integrate with the opposite sex. They either just masturbate or totally switch off and integrate with their parents, and that's it, and vice versa. And that's a life choice. Sometimes it can be a life experience, or other times it can be culturally, domestically, within inside the tribe of that home, culturalized. There's all different ways in which this can form. Now, you have to ask yourself, the situation you're in, is it time to walk away? Could be work, could be a relationship, could be fucking at home. Is it time to fucking leave home? Is it time to get off mummy's tit? I don't know. I'm not at home. I haven't been at home since the age of 16. I didn't fucking want to be at home. I wanted to get out and make it happen. There was a couple of times there where I was in and out, but it wasn't for very long. Excuse me. Fresh out of the pool and gym. So I'm not saying you're forced to have to leave home. What I am saying is staying at home making you passive to such an extent that you're missing out on what you actually should be doing as your God fucking divine God's plan for your life purpose. Because people can get in the way of that, and you can get in the way of that. And unless you put yourself in a situation where, and oftentimes that could be in a really vulnerable, fucking risky place, it's going to bring hardship and possible debt to some extent initially, until you get past these comfortable barriers of being with your mum or your dad or whatever the fucking case might be. You're really not going to develop into the person that you need to be. So you might need to walk away. You might have to make plans of which you need to walk away. Now, I don't suggest a lot of young people go, well, I'll move in with my friends and they're all on fucking drugs and drink. I'd say avoid that. Don't go and move into an environment that's fucking just toxic, because that happens a lot and people get damaged and fucking wrecked and all the rest of it. When they should have stayed put and had a better plan. Where you say sometimes there ain't no time to make plans. Well, it really? Is that true? There's always a time to fucking, if you're desperate enough, you'll make it happen. But you got to be desperate enough. If you're not fucking desperate enough, it ain't gonna happen. It's as simple as that. You'll just sit there and fucking die in the shit that you fucking got yourself surrounded in. So you've got to make a move. You've got to walk away from whatever it is that's holding you back. It could be your fucking mother's tit. There's a passage in the Old Testament, in Genesis, pretty famous sort of a passage that they use a lot to help people to disconnect from their fucking parents, where Abraham was told to get out of this place, leave your mother and father behind, and go to such and such a place and start fresh. And too often, and more often than not, this ain't happening, and it's not happening by way of convenience. It's more convenient and easier, given the cost of living these days, to stay in the nest with the fucking parent. But how do you think the parent's getting the money to pay for everything? They're out there doing, well, I can't do it. Well, you want to make a bet? See, we live in a medicated world today. In some points legit, in other points abuse. People are just taking medications because it suits them and it's easier. And these are the dangerous people, because they're not dealing with the things that they should. Very, very dangerous. And what is happening? Nothing's being resolved. Therefore, there's no progress. There's no development, no personal development. And these people become sheep to the system. And the system's happy with that because the system makes money out of dysfunctional people. Do you know that? That's what Big Pharma and all these things are about. Like if you do your homework, the ABC people that are getting their fucking body parts chopped up and all the surgeries and shit and fucking duck lips and all this stuff that women are getting, and that's all Big Pharma's. All that money, where do you think it's going? Billions and billions of dollars going to Big Pharma, chopping people up, cosmetic surgeries, all this shit. That's what's supplying it. They're having a field day with the ABC fucking people. It's just another source of revenue for the fucking Big Pharma. But these people are ignorant of that, and so are most of us. And you don't have to be. And the reason why I say this is most people now are just sheep. It's easier to fucking, okay, well, got to be careful what I say about the vaccine. But was that really about COVID? No, because it didn't stop spread. And it didn't help the people that took it. So I've got to be careful. I can't go onto that subject or they'll cut my channel. But that was just another case of Big Pharma using the sheep, the masses, the blind masses. A lot of people say they're not of the masses. Well, you put yourself in the situation the Jews were in World War II. They didn't want to be with the fucking masses, but the masses come and got them, didn't they? And a lot of the people that weren't up for the jab, didn't they fucking try and come and get you? I never got it. Never lost a cent. Made more money than I ever have during the whole fucking stupid deception, and never got it. But look now. Look at the death rates from people involved in that and what happened to them, and what's happening to them. It's all coming out now through YouTube and the doctors on YouTube and that with the statistics. They don't care about what happens to you. They don't care if your Botox lips fuck up. They don't care if your breast implants are negative. They don't care if your mastectomies and all this other shit that they're making up is fucked. They don't care when you get your cancer checkup fucking kit and you send it in and the next minute they're chopping you to bits if it's right or wrong. A lot of people would have been better off left fucking alone. You get what I'm saying? It's all about fast, massive amounts of money for Big Pharma. I mean, billions and billions, trillions of dollars. So anyway, that's another subject. One where you need to educate yourself on what you're going to allow to have and have not happen to you. So, example. I was with this woman for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Hot thing, fucking beautiful, lovely, and fantastic in the bedroom. Probably the best of the best. But anyway, for me, that was my experience. And she was unbelievable. This woman had boundaries while it suited her with a child. First up, you'd go to her place. First time I went and saw her, she set up 2 chairs on the footpath. And I thought, oh, fuck, what am I getting myself into here? 2 chairs on the footpath. This is dead set. Oh, yeah, right, I had the bit go. Come back, next visit, into the bedroom. Bang. And never left it for fucking 7 or 8 years. What I'm trying to say with this one is, whilst she was into it, that kid would spend most of its time at the fucking grandparents. And one point there, we locked ourselves in the bedroom for 2 weeks. Come out, fucking skin off us everywhere. And, oh yeah, I like the long duration ones. And the little kid was on holidays. Did her fucking parents have the shits with her at the end of that? But she didn't care. She was getting what she wanted at that time, at that moment in her life. Now, it didn't stay that way. She had a couple more episodes like that. But it's funny, as you know, you get ready for them to fade, and they start to fade. And the next thing, the dynamics of the whole thing changes, and then you've got to adjust to sort of cater to that, and so on and so forth, until ultimately, because they're greedy when it comes to bedroom fun, it wears them out psychologically and spiritually. They don't know how to manage themselves, and they wear out and they start to lose their way. Like every now and then she'd have a run where she'd be banging into things with a car, or go to drive to fucking Woy and end up at fucking Budgie Woy and not know why. These sorts of things. And she wasn't on drugs. She was one of the few that I've had that wasn't on drugs or medications or anything. That's probably why she was so exciting, to be honest. And you couldn't get near this bird. I was one of the fortunate ones. Probably no one will ever give her the experience that I did. That that's just not going to happen. I was very fortunate. I did the work, and you get rewarded for the way in which you present yourself, guys. And women like straightness because it's naughty. There's no numbing or fucking, it's all just raw, and they like that. But as she faded, the child became a shield. And this is all predictable, by the way. You watch how they manage themselves after sex. See, the sex act's one thing. There's a lot that comes after it because it changes a lot of things. That's why it's so important not to fuck around with it. If you're going to be in it, you may as well do it properly, because there's a lot of, everything has a consequence, and so does having sex. But sex without order is chaos, and people get hurt, and children get hurt, and people go to jail. And by making bad choices and wrong choices as a consequence, because it's the biggest drug you can get, sex. It really unleashes all sorts of different things when you have it. And when it starts to get disorderly and things aren't being resolved, and you see these vicious relationships, toxic fucking viciousness, where the one person or the other is not going to allow things to be sorted out, then you have to know, by learning and knowledge and probably experience as well, when it's time to walk away. Things get to a point where resolve is not possible, and if it's triangulated, like in my last case, it was a case of triangulation. I got to take my hat off to the girl, to the lady. She did try. She knew she was beat, but she did try. They were never going to let her escape, and to some degree I don't think she wanted to get away from him anyway. These are the domestic formations that take place, and again, you can't see all this on the surface. This is what's going on underneath, and you can't criticize it. You can only go, well, I've worked with it for this long, it's really a stalemate, and you have to decide, well, am I staying or going? One of my mates, he has been in a relationship with a single mother for 20 years. But there was order. She kept the children in order. And they respected her for that. And he got respect from that because she made the platform for those children to realise this person's important to my mother. And if I fuck with it, mum's not going to be happy and we're going to be in a situation that we don't want to be. Conflict sometimes, unfortunately, is the best form of resolve. If you don't believe me, why did the 2 atomic bombs go off? Why have there been wars? Now, wars, I wouldn't justify war for a way of finding peace, but unfortunately, by human nature and the way it is, there has to be sometimes a showdown. If you don't believe me, watch Dr. Phil. And these types of things. It's better to bring the thing to the surface and throw a grenade than to sit there and let it simmer till everybody's fucked. And unfortunately today, things are just left to simmer. Nobody's got the courage to speak up. We're just catering and meandering to dysfunction and people that aren't going to develop anyway, don't want to. And they're wasting their time, your time, and everybody fucking else's time around them. And you have to say, well, fuck this, I'm going to walk away. That's what walking away is about. It's not a cruel thing. It's about maximising your life and the environment which you want to live it. If somebody appreciates you, they'll get shit in order. If they don't get shit in order, you've got to say to yourself, they don't appreciate me. They're not going to appreciate you. And it's time to walk away. Have you got the ability to walk away? For the benefit of yourself and possibly them as well. Like that last lady I was with, if she don't stop and think and go, fuck, you know, it was more important for me to protect my adult fucking children from whatever it was. That's just what I used to say. I don't even know what he's fucking trying to, what the big issue is. It was quite pathetic actually. And really, you can give grace to these things and time to these things, but they won't change because you're dealing with stubborn, spoiled, pedestalized generations now that don't want to face things that are important outside of themselves. And I've seen so many of these single mothers end up on their own. They get ran through here and there, but nobody's interested in them. They're at the end of their lives. You know, that later part of their life where they kind of sort of settle and default and go, well, this is what I deserve. And they've had every opportunity to have a much better, stable, healthier, constructive and profitable, productive life. And it just hasn't been in their psyche to be able to manage that. And that could be you as well as a male. A lot of males just are not going to rise to their potential and to what they need to build themselves into to succeed. A lot of people are just happy to minimalize and think that's a way of justifying laziness. But it's not. It's destructive. There's the truck, there's the place. I'll show you my house, guys, from out here. There she is. Big thing. Goes right up. Alright guys, this is Pro Ricky on the Pro Ricky exclusive YouTube channel, otherwise known as Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, Theologist. Bye for now.